Here's a simplified version of what's going on between Moroka Swallows and Marumo Gallants. Now, the original agreement for the sale of the status of Moroka Swallows was supposed to be 40 million rand that was supposed to be split up in this way. 20 million rand as a direct fee to Moroka Swallows. 10 million rand in debt that was owed to the South African Revenue Services or SARS, and 10 million rand to players and staff. Now, the allegation is that the initial 20 million rand was paid. The other 20 million in SARS and player payments was not paid, and in fact, the SARS payment now has interest of an additional 3 million rand, so 13 million rand is owed to SARS. What is Moroka Swallows requesting? Moroka Swallows has allegedly informed Marumo Gallants that they are terminating the agreement, and they also want this legal agreement to be terminated legally by the courts. The first thing that would happen if Moroka Swallows is successful is that the agreement would be terminated and both parties would be returned back to their original state prior to the agreement. What does that mean? It means that the status which was transferred would have to be transferred back to Moroka Swallows. Therefore, Marumo Gallants would essentially be kicked out of the league because they wouldn't be recognized as the legal entity holding the status. The second thing is that the PSL would have a major problem because Moroka Swallows doesn't actually have players that are playing football right now. They exist as a legal entity, but they do not exist as a club. That would mean the PSL will likely have to void all of the other upcoming matches that Marumo Gallants would have to play during the remainder of the season. The third problem is that there was another clause in the agreement which apparently meant that Marumo Gallants could not finalize the sale of their status until this initial agreement was complete, and Marumo Gallants sold their status to Marumo United, and because that status was sold, it would allegedly void the initial terms of the agreement. And here's the problem. The PSL needs this issue to be resolved as quickly as possible, because what happens if this issue drags on into the new season and then Marumo Gallants gets stopped from being able to participate in the league by the courts? There's also the issue of the impending SARS problem. We saw with Royal AM what happens when SARS gets involved. The minute SARS gets involved, the PSL hands are tied and they can no longer act on a club. This issue with regards to Marumo Gallants and Swallows is quite interesting. We don't really have any information yet in terms of what we've been able to find out, but as soon as we know more, we'll let you know what's going on.